Welcome to the Deficient Vegans podcast. I'm the Muscle Deficient Vegan here with the Protein Deficient Vegan. Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi, everybody. This is episode 31, and this week we have a guest.
Our first ever guest.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't suck at the interviewing thing.
Oh, we're definitely going to suck.
Well,
but you learn.
That's right. So we will be talking with a team member for an organization called Switch4Good. But first up, new news.
New news.
So Impossible Foods won the Inc. Best in Business Award the second year in a row.
Wow.
Last year they won in the food and drink category. It looks like this year they won in the marketing category.
Man, I'm trying to think of any marketing I've seen from Impossible in the last year, and I can't think of any. But I see a lot of stuff from Beyond.
Yeah, I feel like the marketing award should go to the guy or girl who runs the Threads account for Beyond.
Oh, yeah. That little cow in a cape on Threads makes Threads a good place.
Yeah.
I don't even like Threads, but it makes it worth going there.
Yeah. Maybe the marketing is because Impossible has a lot of partnerships with restaurants.
That could be.
Burger King and others I've seen. Most of the time, if I see something at a restaurant, it's an Impossible patty.
That's true. Yeah. I think they both taste the same to me, personally.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Next up, New York Fashion Week made a big decision to ban fur on the runway.
This is really exciting.
Yeah. Now, I don't know anything about fashion, but I've heard of New York Fashion Week, so this must be a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I also know nothing about fashion, which you'd know if you ever saw me in real life.
I think you're extremely fashionable.
Okay. That's because you're also not fashionable.
They said they won't promote fur on social media or at any of their events. This starts September 2026 to give their designers time to plan and recreate fur-free designs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, kind of related to that, Poland just passed a bill to ban fur farming. This one has a little longer horizon. The last day that fur farming will be allowed is December 31st, 2033. But they are giving incentives to businesses to stop fur farming sooner. So the sooner you stop doing it, the more of an incentive payout you get.
That's great.
And eventually it'll phase out to where you don't get any extra payment at all.
Yeah. So stop using it quick if you want money, Poland.
That's right. They joined a long list of other European countries who have also banned fur farming.
Yeah, I think it was 20-something.
Yeah.
Go Europe.
Yeah. Fur
is so weird to me because I really have trouble seeing how it's any different from leather. Or why isn't leather also banned? I don't know. You're just wearing skin. It's just weird.
It is a little weird. Especially now that we don't need to do it.
I know. And then if you watch Silence of the Lambs, everyone thinks Buffalo Bill's some fucking weirdo, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, he's just doing what we do to animals.
You're making some pretty good points there.
So anyway,
unfortunately.
I think leather needs to go next. And that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah. We banned human skin a long time ago.
Yeah. Human skin's not allowed to be worn on hats and stuff. Probably.
Exactly.
Oh my God. I saw this. There's apparently this service where now they're making some kind of a coral reef structure out of ashes. And then putting it in areas in the ocean that need extra coral reef or something. And it's supposed to help with the marine yada yada.
Where do the ashes come from?
Human remains. It's like a way to honor your deceased family member or beloved pet.
Feel free to turn me into coral reef. That sounds okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking diamonds, but coral reef sounds even cooler.
Yeah. Next up, U.S. Senator Adam Schiff, who is a vegan, along with Cory Booker.
Yes, he doubled the amount of vegans in the U.S. Senate.
Yeah. He introduced a new bill that would give $500 million in R&D budget to develop alternative protein sources.
This is really cool.
Yeah. So the reasoning he put forth for this is basically that protein is exploding in demand, and our current food system cannot meet that growing demand for protein as is. So there are a lot of nuances and details in the bills. We'll link it in the show notes. But the basic gist of it is they're going to try to earmark some money to come up with alternative proteins and also try to make sure none of that money goes back into just animal farming.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially from an environmental perspective. If the population keeps going up, obviously, I think most people know that factory farming is really bad for the environment. So continuing to do more of it is going to only be worse for the environment. So reducing it, I think, is the best thing we could do for the environment, too.
Yeah, definitely. They got fun with the name. It's called the Protein Act, and the acronym stands for Producing Real Opportunities for Technology and Entrepreneurs Investing in Nutrition.
Oh, man, I just thought it was protein.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So yeah, if you're the type that likes to reach out to your congresspeople, let them know that you want to support this act, if that's how you feel.
You're probably calling them for lots of other really fun stuff lately, so just tag this on to the end.
Okay, so that's it for the news. We have here with us Lucy Whitney from the Switch4Good organization. Lucy Whitney leads Switch4Good's Campus Action Now program, through which she works with professors and undergrad students on community-oriented service learning projects about dairy and the environment, public health, and more. She's an NYU graduate and New Roots Institute Fellowship alum, and she's passionate about how experiential education can help bring about a more sustainable food system by jumpstarting the next generation to create meaningful change. Hello, nice to meet you.
You as well.
Thanks for coming on. Did you just want to start by telling us a little bit about Switch4Good?
Absolutely. So Switch4Good is a nonprofit advocacy organization, and we're working for a plant-rich food system with the motivations of animal welfare, food equity, and dietary justice, health and performance for everybody, and more planetary responsibility in the face of climate change. So we lead campaigns on public policy, corporate policy, and we support individuals who are looking to participate in that plant-rich food system change. So we focus a lot on dairy. So we have a lot of resources and support for dairy-free athletes, individuals, students, etc.
That's awesome. It's definitely a worthy mission. And I know some of the other vegan organizations focus on different things. So it's good to hear one that focuses specifically on dairy reduction.
Yeah.
I know you have a few different programs there, so maybe we can talk about a couple of those. And since you lead the Campus Action Now program, maybe you can start by giving us a little intro on that.
Yeah, for sure. So like you kind of said earlier, it's an experiential education program. So we use a teaching and learning model called service learning, where we, as a nonprofit partner, can work with professors who teach undergraduate courses, and they'll be teaching something related to our work. It can really vary. So whether it's a public health course, environmental studies, sustainable business, really anything that we can tie to the food system, we on the CAN team will come up with a service project that helps our mission, gets the students out of the classroom, involved in real-world applicable work, and ties into their course learning objectives. So we'll work with the professor and make sure we are elevating the education of the students, and the project helps us at the organization. And then for the semester, we'll work with the students, get them involved, keep them reflecting on their impact in the community, and also we get to bring food systems into classrooms in a way that really hasn't been done in a widespread nature in the US in the undergraduate level. So we're really excited about making food systems part of every degree program across the US. We also run an internship program in the summer. I always feel like I kind of forget to mention that we have an internship program, but a lot of our service learners will then find that they're really interested in this work and want to dig deeper. So then over the summer, they can come on board and work a few more hours every week and really dig into the work.
That's pretty cool. So the service learners, are those the students on campus that are working with the program?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. How many schools are involved in this right now?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say about 25.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. We saw some of the service project options you had, and it looks like a really interesting concept to kind of do a project that leans into some of the plant-based mindset things. We're particularly interested in the one about plant-based recipes and trying to get those installed in the campuses maybe. Do you have any examples of where some of the projects resulted in some actual changes or actions as a result, or are these more of like a concept?
Yeah, that's a good question. So service learning is a unique model in that we sometimes have to hold back on pushing really, really hard for change in service to making sure the education part comes through.
Yeah.
But we have found some actual change to come out of our projects, which is really exciting for us, because that's definitely a goal of the program, but we have so many goals that it's kind of exciting when we achieve all of them. And so I can give an example of something that's going to have a good ripple effect so you mentioned that recipes project. So that project, students will go out into their peer community on campus. Maybe they live in a dorm, maybe they're on a sports team, maybe they live in like a Greek life house. They learn about the dietary wants of the people who live kind of in similar situations to them, where maybe they don't have access to a kitchen or a grocery store, or they're on a limited budget. And they'll come up with recipes that are plant-based that fit the needs of the students around them. And then they'll try and get them shared with their peers. So we had one student who lives in a sorority house at the University of Missouri, and she did this project and she was able to work with her sorority house chef, because sorority houses often have food service contracts that they have an in-house chef.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I also didn't know that, but that sounds cool. And the chef was really enthusiastic about the project and is going to bring in some of her recipes into like the weekly rotation of food in the house. So that's one example where one student was kind of interested, and then, you know, they serve about 150 people every day. So one student has already made an impact just through her curiosity and the relationship she already had in that house.
Okay. Yeah, that's a cool example. So how do students get involved with you? Are you guys on campus in a booth, like handing out flyers, or do they reach out to you? What's the typical way a student gets involved?
It sometimes happens where we're doing like volunteer fairs and they see us at a booth. A lot of the times schools have their own internal kind of volunteer database systems that we are listed as an option in. So if a student's curious about, you know, serving somehow, they'll see us there. And then a lot of the ways we do find students is we will partner with a professor. So all of the students in the course will work with us, and that's a decision made by the professor. So that's how we get a lot of the students who have never really considered their interest in this area before, but then through the course, we are able to develop that interest into something maybe a little longer lasting for them.
I think it's definitely worth keeping our ear to the ground and seeing how this program expands.
Yeah.
Is there like a particular degree that you normally do internships with? I'm just curious about the internship program specifically.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say no, it's really varied. We've had ethics students, we've had biology students, we've had students who like are business majors and have so much diverse business background. I have no business background, so I'm always really curious about what they know because it's so far from what I know. So yeah, it's really varied a lot.
Are you guys actively working to grab some more colleges into that list of 25? Or like, what if a kid is at one of the schools that don't already work with you? How would they get involved?
That's a great question. So they can reach out on our website. I think it's just switch4good.org/can, CAN. A lot of the schools we're not actively working with, that might just be for this semester, but we might already have a relationship with them, but maybe the professor we usually work with isn't teaching this semester or something like that. So it's always worth checking. And then if a student is interested, we always have a spot for any student who's interested. We will build a relationship with the school around them if need be. We always also have volunteer spots that are just Switch4Good wide that students can get involved in. And any student from any school can apply to be an intern as well. That's open to anybody.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So you mentioned there, I think that you had a professor you work with, maybe they're not in for the semester. So is your relationship with the school always through professors, or you sometimes work with the school directly and more a wider net?
Yeah, both. Sometimes it's through a professor, and then a lot of schools have an office of service learning where there's some manager or coordinator whose job it is just to get community organizations into the school. So sometimes that's our contact.
So what I'm hearing is if you can at least convince maybe one professor, you have a chance at doing something with the program.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Is there any intent on like moving this towards high schools as well, or is it mostly the focus around colleges?
I would say I really am excited about the idea of moving this into high schools. The program's only about a year old, so we're definitely like figuring out how to grow and where we want to grow. And I think high schools is a really exciting place. It is just something I've learned over this past year. Undergrads in high schools operate really differently. They have really different objectives in what students, student development, et cetera. So I'm really excited about it. Maybe I think it's kind of in the back of my mind for like the next year or two. Is that somewhere we can move?
Cool. And now something that you guys at the organization have been working with quite a bit is the FISCAL Act that just went through. I think it just got signed by the House on Monday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about the history of the act or what that will do for the students.
Yeah, definitely. So the FISCAL Act started a few years ago under another name. It was called the Add Soy Act. And it's been through a few iterations, but basically it is to amend and reform the National School Lunch Program, which is the federal food program that provides funding to public and nonprofit private schools to let them offer free and reduced price lunch to students. So if you ever see, or if you yourself were ever like a reduced price lunch kid, that food was being paid for by the federal government.
Yeah.
Means that the government has some say in what can be served. And for the whole entirety of the program, cow's milk was required. It was a milk mandate is what we call it. And it really did a disservice to lactose intolerant students. It was a massive waste issue in terms of food waste and taxpayer dollar waste because all the milk got thrown out was paid for by taxpayers.
Right.
And so the FISCAL Act allows schools to be serving non-cow's milk as part of the National School Lunch Program, which is really exciting. So it's going to let students who are lactose intolerant or allergic or have ethical issues with cow's milk have another type of milk. So they'll get the nutrients. They won't be in pain in school. Lactose intolerance also affects children of color at higher rates than white children. So this was an instance of dietary racism that will now be alleviated to some extent. So we're really excited about that as well.
Yeah.
And so we're excited for these schools to have plant-based milk.
That's awesome. When we first came across Switch4Good and saw this program, we were actually pretty surprised that this hasn't been a thing for a long time already. I didn't realize that dairy milk was the only option in school.
Yeah. Yeah, it's those shocking things once you get into it.
Yeah. So assuming this does get signed, what do you think it will look like in a school setting? Like how is it enforced? Are the schools required to carry plant-based milks or is it just optional? How does that work?
Yeah, so in a school, it's going to look like for schools who know about it. So the next step that we're taking on is school education, because if they don't know about it, they won't know that they can buy the plant-based milk and be reimbursed. So when a school knows about it, they will be able to buy the plant-based milk, be reimbursed for it, and have it publicly out on display in the cafeteria for students to choose. Students won't have to bring in a doctor's note. Before this bill, students who were lactose intolerant, etc., would have to have a doctor's note to be able to get a non-cow's milk option. Now they will only need a parent's note, which really lowers the barrier, especially we know healthcare access in this country also is unequitable. So that will also help. And then students will be able to just take it much more easy.
So is there like a standard plant-based option that they can get reimbursed for? Is it any of them? Like, can they only do oat milk or soy milk or almond milk?
Yeah, so no milk is specified in the bill language, but these federal food assistance programs must adhere to the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, which are the nutrition guidelines published by the federal government. And in those, soy milk is the milk that is recognized as nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk through protein and micronutrients. So soy is the obvious choice.
That makes sense.
That's our favorite too. So once this gets signed, when does it actually go into effect? Like when will the option be there for the students?
That's going to be up to the school.
Okay.
We are going to launch into this educational tour, touring across the country, meeting with schools and getting them to be aware. And then it will be written into their food service contracts and when they order the milk. So as soon as possible.
I'm sure that's going to take you guys a long time to get to all the schools in America. If there's a plant-based child listening to this, or maybe the parent of a plant-based child and they're listening to this, is there anything that you would recommend that they do once this bill's passed to try to get those options in their own school?
Absolutely. I think advocate for themselves, bring this bill to their school board, to their school administration and say, hey, you have this new option. It's a great thing because it's not putting another financial strain on the schools. It will be reimbursed by the federal government. So bringing it as a positive new option for these schools to expand equity and access. Bring it to them. Tell them.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll try to spread the word as much as possible too. Obviously, we have a vegan audience, so I'm sure a lot of people will be interested. But the point you brought up about lactose intolerance, I think, is a massive one.
Oh, yeah. I think this is really interesting because I was vegetarian in high school, not vegan, but I mean, there were just so many limited options. Even as a vegetarian, I can't imagine how hard it would be as a vegan to try to eat school lunches.
Yeah. It sounds really hard. I also wasn't vegan in high school, and gosh, It sounds so challenging.
Sounds brutal.
Yeah, and then last, Switch for Good has an athletes program. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the athletes program and the athletes that you're working with?
Absolutely. So our athletes program was founded because as an organization, we were founded by an athlete. Our founder, Dotsie Bausch, is an Olympian, and she, during her career as a plant-based athlete, really felt the pressure from coaches, the media, everybody that somehow what she was doing was impossible or really like somehow miraculous when in fact she was just following sound nutrition advice. And so we provide this community of plant-based athletes who are any level of athletics. We don't have a very high barrier of entry. If you consider yourself an athlete, you are welcome with us. And we provide recipes, we send out newsletters to direct people to new resources from us and just from the world. We have events where we bring each other together and celebrate each other. We like to feature stories of the athletes on our website. We have lots of merch and support, and it's a really fun, supportive kind of respite from the world of athletics that can be so tough on plant-based folks.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you connect with the plant-based athletes? Are they mostly coming to you? Are you going out to them? Or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. Through the Campus Action Now program, I definitely bring in some student athletes who do our program and then say, "Oh, I'm a student athlete. I would really like to get in touch with everybody else in that world." We go to a lot of events. We've been to marathons and bike races, and we're out having fun, supporting our athletes and meeting new athletes. Also, our website is always the best place to find us. We have a form that's, if you're interested, you can just type in your name and your email and we'll reach out.
Awesome. So I'm curious for the student athletes that you do end up with, do you have any resources around supporting them in their household that may not be plant-based or just generally unsupportive? Have you run into that at all?
Yeah, that's definitely a common conversation we have. We don't have any written resources, but that's a great idea, and I think we should make one. So thank you for that. But
Sure.
we're definitely always here to talk people through it. We ourselves have all had those conversations, and we can give some pointers on how to make it an open-minded and productive
Okay.
talk.
So if there's an athlete out there that does want to get involved, what's the best way for them to do that? And then can you give some examples of maybe some of the specific resources you might be able to provide them with?
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch with us is, like I said, our website, switch4good.org/athletes this time. We have that form on there. And then some of our resources, we have advice columns from athletes and dietitians about protein consumption, inflammation, recovery after workouts, etc. Really specific, tailor-made athlete-specific tips. We have really short ones too, just like really easy, if you're in the grocery store and you want to find some swaps for some of your favorite high protein snacks, what to look for, how to read ingredient labels, all of those really specific things that kind of can make or break a plant-based diet. And then we also have lots of, like I said, stories about inspiring plant-based athletes, inspiring through, success, but also through how people get through their challenges and lean on each other and really form this community.
I think I saw something on that page about some kind of interaction with plant-based pro athletes. What form does that take? Is that like a webinar situation, or are they writing articles, or is it just a spotlight of a pro athlete, or what does that usually look like?
Yeah, so we have those webinars and the articles and writings, but we also have kind of a network because our founder, Dotsie, is a pro athlete. She is kind of in that world. So Dotsie will come and speak to our athletes and talk through her experience and hear from others about their experiences. She also knows so many athletes that we're always collaborating and bringing other folks in.
I was just curious, you mentioned that sometimes you'll go to meets for some of your athletes and stuff. Is there like a network where they're kind of talking with each other?
Yeah, we use an online community platform where people can post what they're up to, share photos, share, like the times and dates for their events so we can come out and support each other.
Oh, that's amazing. Because I know, like, especially when you're new into plant-based eating, it can feel very lonely. So that's actually really cool.
Yeah, it's great. It's really fun.
What is generally the best way for people to get involved with Switch for Good as a whole, and some opportunities to either, donate or like actually get involved with some of the programs? How can they do that?
Yeah. So once again, our website, switch4good.org, there's a button at the top that says support us that will take you to the donation pages for monthly giving or one-time donation. There's also ways to get involved through volunteering, through Campus Action Now. We have action alerts for just like one-click advocacy support. If you want to help us with that educational tour we're going to do with all these schools, feel free to reach out. If you have a school in mind that you think you want us to come talk to, feel free to let us know. But yeah, our website has all the contact information anybody could need.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining us today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Okay, so that was a lot of fun. Let's get into our myth of the week this week. The myth of the week this week is that spot fat reduction is a thing. In case you're not familiar with what this is the concept that if you want to get rid of fat on your arms, there's some way to target your arms to get rid of that fat specifically.
Yeah. I remember, okay, so my mom was one of those moms that had a bunch of those tapes from like the 80s that are like super stomach or like toned arms, right? And like the whole, well, it's kind of fun to watch, but they're like, they're like in pastel colored gym clothes with like leg warmers and stuff. And they're doing very targeted, like super stomach workout, or
Wearing
like
the headbands with the triangles on them.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
can picture.
And there's like mellow but energetic music in the background, and we're just targeting stomach fat because you can do that.
Right.
So you're saying this isn't true?
No, you can't do that at all. Actually.
Are you saying my super stomach video that I stole from my mom on VHS doesn't work?
Well, here's the thing. It will work, and it will probably eventually reduce the fat from your stomach, assuming you're eating in a calorie deficit, because you just lose fat. You can't determine where you're going to lose fat from. So as you lose your body weight and as you lose your body fat, it'll come off from
wherever.
Usually the last place it was going on is the first place it'll come off, but all that depends on genetics and man versus woman and things like that. It's pretty specific to your body. You just kind of have to go through the motion and lose the body fat until you're, satisfied with where it is.
I feel like this is always so funny. I feel like girls have like the weirdest places that it comes off of first, because you always hear girls that are like, I immediately lose boobs as soon as I lose any weight.
Yeah.
And that's sad if you wanted boobs.
Yeah. Not really much of a way around it, I guess.
No, but I think that's probably where like the super stomach targeting fat comes from.
No, one way that can kind of look like you're spot reducing fat would be to maybe grow a bunch of muscle. So like if you got, much bigger biceps, then it would definitely look like you lost fat just in your arms, like if you hadn't really lost body fat. But I mean, we're talking about, maybe a pound or two of muscle in your arm over a couple of years. So it's not like a super good way to do it, especially for women. It's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have to kind of lose body fat and it'll come off from wherever it wants to come off from. Gain a little muscle along the way. Everything gets a little more quote unquote toned, which also isn't a real thing, but that's a different myth of the week. Maybe.
I feel like you're using a lot of buzzwords that are just kind of like thrown at women, like you want your fat spot removal. Yeah. And, you want to tone your arms and tone your legs. And
no, that's true. I think a lot of that is marketed towards women, which is unfortunate.
Men are just like, get stronger. And women are like, lose fat in very specific areas of your body.
Yeah, I think the difference maybe for men is like there's not anywhere where we really want the fat,
Is that true? You guys don't want butts?
Maybe.
Hank Hill wants a butt. Remember, he had to buy like a special cushion when he was riding his lawnmower because he doesn't really have an ass.
Yeah.
He had like butt inserts. There was like a whole episode on it.
I do remember that.
King of the Hill.
But yeah, I mean, you grow a little bit of muscle in the glutes, you'll get a little bit more butt, but it's mostly going to be fat.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you also, unfortunately, might end up, fairly lean and still be holding a little bit of extra fat somewhere you don't want it, but you don't really want to lose more weight. So your only option there would be to keep trying to build muscle and see if it works itself out the way you want. But you may just be having to deal with a little extra fat in some places.
Yeah, especially around like stomach, right? Like people like trying to get a six pack for many, many years.
Yep. So spot fat reduction is a myth. Not a thing. Next, what have you been working on with your recipes?
I have been doing a lot of holiday baking.
Oh.
You would know. You've been eating it.
Yeah. I ask so everybody else knows, but I'm pretty well aware. Although you do a lot of stuff in there, I don't really know what's going on. It's like your magical workshop, and I just walk in and there's peppermints and candy canes and Rice Krispie treats, and it's pretty awesome. It's like having an elf, but they make food instead of toys.
I could probably make toys. Yeah. I don't know. I've also been knitting,
Well, we have. Now I'm thinking maybe we're Santa's Workshop because we have been making some toys on the 3D printer this week.
That's true. And I've been knitting scarves. And also, I have about 30 paper cuts on my fingers from wrapping a lot of presents. So, yeah, just Christmassy things. I put out a couple new recipes. High protein puppy chow, which you had never had before,
Right.
but I make it with edamame puffs, and it's about like 30-ish% protein. Yeah. And then I also made no-bake cookies, those like peanut butter chocolate ones, but with TVP instead of oats.
Yeah, those are really good. Turns out I like the puppy chow as cereal also. So
Yeah.
I can eat way more of it than you're probably supposed to.
Yeah, 20 servings for who? It's like 5 for you. We're really going through the puppy chow in the house. Yeah, I also have been working on like a Biscoff cheesecake recipe.
Oh, that's delicious.
That I just put out, and then I've got a couple more that I'm putting out on Monday probably. So keep your eyes open.
Looking forward. I love all the holiday recipes. They're my favorites. And the pies and things that taste like candy, but I actually have protein in them. I don't know. It's pretty awesome. Although the Biscoff cheesecake, not really a protein.
Not
version.
protein at all.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like 10% protein, so about as much as a potato. So it's as healthy for you as a potato. I'm lying. It's not healthy at all.
It is great though. This is definitely one you could take to people who aren't vegan and they'd never.
Yeah.
They would just be like a cheesecake pie thing to them. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not much of a cheesecake eater, like in general. I never really have liked it, but I actually think this one's pretty good.
Yeah. I think this is our last episode before the holidays, so hope everybody has a good Christmas, Mahana, Kwanzaa, Solstice, Saturnalia, or whatever it is you have going on.
Happy whatever you celebrate. Merry things. We hope you get everything you want and, good luck and stuff.
Yeah. Hope you have a good time with your families.
Or not with your families, depending on what you want to do,
Yeah.
The new Stranger Things comes out, so that's something to look forward to, even if you don't want to hang out with your family.
Yeah. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, Christmas is a day to celebrate this year because the new Stranger Things.
Happy Stranger Things. And the end of the Taylor Swift docuseries. So it's going to be a good week for me personally. I'm going to have the best week.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. So if anybody has any questions or feedback they want to give us, you can find in the show notes. You can send us a text message. You can comment on Spotify or go to our social medias, which are linked in the show notes, websites. Leave us a message or comment there. We'll be happy to talk to you.
Join our Discord.
Oh, yeah. We also have the new Discord. I think we're up to 13, 14
I think
people
it's like
now.
16.
Yeah. So doing pretty good in there. We still need to add some material and get moving on.
Conversation flowing.
To be perfectly honest, people joined a little quicker than I expected, so I wasn't like 100% ready, but it's really exciting.
Yeah. We're excited. Come join us.
Cool. So I think that's it for this week. Do you want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all